You've probably seen them before, these simple, almost childlike paintings of matchstick men. But what you might not know is that the artist behind them, Lowry, created some of the most iconic and valuable art in British history.
Which leads to the big question, right? How on earth do these paintings of, well, matchstick men end up selling for millions and millions of pounds? What's the secret sauce here? All right, let's get into it. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll meet the man himself. Then we'll take a look at how he painted the industrial North. We'll explore the crowds and communities on his canvases, check out his most expensive pieces, and finally wrap it all up by looking at his incredible legacy. Okay, so first things first. To really get the art, you've got to get the artist. Let's talk about the man behind those matchstick men, Lawrence Stephen Lowry. Lowry lived a long life. He died at 88, but a few key things really defined him. He had a tough, reportedly unhappy childhood. And then in 1909, his family moved to this industrial town called Pendlebury, and that move, it changed everything for his art. Later in life, tragedy struck. He lost his father and then his mother in 1939, which hit him incredibly hard and sent him into a really deep depression. And this really speaks volumes about his private life. At 88 years old, he said, "I have never had a woman." Just think about that. It points to this deeply solitary existence, a kind of loneliness that you can almost feel seeping through the canvas, even in his paintings packed with people. But here's the twist. He wasn't just this quiet, lonely guy. He was also a bit of a character, a real storyteller. He was famous for spinning these wild, funny tales that you could never really prove. It's like he was deliberately messing with people. This kind of playful, mysterious side is so fascinating when you think about how direct his paintings feel. So you've got this solitary storytelling trickster. How does that translate onto a canvas? Well, let's dig into what makes a Lowry painting, well, a Lowry. You know his style the second you see it, right? It's all about these sprawling urban landscapes from the industrial heart of England. And then there they are, the famous matchstick men. He wasn't trying to paint specific people. Nope. These were symbols of the anonymous crowds, all set against this bright, almost white background that really makes them pop. You can almost boil it down to a 3-step recipe. Step 1, the backdrop. Think towering mills, huge factory chimneys, rows of terraced houses. Step 2, the people. You've got these swarms of matchstick figures just going about their daily lives. And step 3, the color. Lowry famously said he only used 5 colors. Just 5. That's what gives his work that incredibly distinct, kind of stark feeling. And get this, the man was a machine. We're talking about 1,000 paintings and over 8,000 drawings. That's around 9,000 works in total. A massive, massive body of work, all dedicated to capturing this one specific world. But if you just see the grim factories and smoke, you're only getting half the picture, because Lowry was absolutely fascinated by the people, the crowds, the communities that made these places tick. Yeah, the backdrops might look a little bleak, but the paintings themselves are just buzzing with life. He was really drawn to those moments when people came together. Think about it. Football matches, local fairs, parades. He was brilliant at finding these vibrant human energy right in the middle of all the industrial grit. A great example is his work on the Daisy Nook fairs. He painted one in 1946, right after World War II, and you can feel the optimism. It's deliberately cheerful. It was the first Easter fair after the war, and you can just sense that relief. And then 7 years later, he painted again. It just shows you how obsessed he was with these moments of shared public joy. And his focus wasn't just on crowds. He was also completely obsessed with the sea, but not in a calm day at the beach kind of way. For Lowry, the sea was, in his words, the battle of life. He was fascinated by how it could be perfectly calm one minute and then violently chaotic the next. That raw, untamable power really spoke to him. Okay, so this unique way of seeing the world, well, over time, it's translated into some seriously big money. So let's talk numbers. Let's look at the staggering prices his paintings go for today. I mean, his paintings regularly sell for millions. That Good Friday Daisy Nook we were just talking about, that sold for £3.8 million. Another one, the football match, went for £4.5 million. But believe it or not, his biggest sellers are in a whole other stratosphere. £7.8 million. Just let that number sink in. That is an absolutely mind-blowing record for one single painting by L.S. Lowry. And what painting was it? Well, that was the price paid back in October 2022 for his 1953 masterpiece, what many people consider his greatest work ever, Going to the Match. So what makes this one so special? Why this one? Well, for starters, it taps into something totally universal, the love of football. And he was clever about it. It's completely anonymous. You don't see any faces, there are no team colors, so it could be any match for any team anywhere in the country. Now, a lot of people think it was inspired by Burnden Park, the old stadium for the Bolton Wanderers, but its real magic is that it feels like it belongs to everyone. And today, it's exactly where it should be, on public display at the Lowry Arts Centre in Salford.
So, when you take a step back and look at the whole picture, what is the legacy that L.S. Lowry left behind, and why is it so record-breaking?
It's just an incredible story, isn't it? From this unhappy kid in the middle of industrial England to one of Britain's most celebrated and, as we've seen, most valuable artists. He took the grim world around him and turned it into something powerful and totally unique. So really, his legacy comes down to four main things. First, that one-of-a-kind matchstick style. Second, the sheer amount of work he produced. Remember, over 9,000 pieces. Third, his role as a historian, really, capturing a way of life that's now gone. And fourth, of course, the jaw-dropping prices his work fetches at auction.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. Where does all that value really come from? Is it purely about the art itself, that unique style? Or is it because he was basically a historian with a paintbrush, perfectly preserving a world of factories and crowds that has all but disappeared? Something to chew on, for sure.